You're listening to the Fezcast, the Saracens fans podcast, bringing you the independent and unhinged views of the voices in our heads, as well as those of our special guests. To get in touch with us, find the Fezcast on social media and listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube and more. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy this week's show.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to our next edition of the Fezcast following a bit of a chastening defeat away at Sale. But I don't know how we've managed to organise this, but my guest tonight is Barry John. Oh, no, we haven't got Doris Stokes involved. It's Barry and John. Oh, well, never mind. I mean, the first time either of you two have been mentioning greatness like that, isn't it? Welcome, Barry, and welcome again, John, and welcome to the team, your second appearance. And, you know, we've co-opted you on. Obviously, the algorithms and everything didn't kick up too much of a stink after your first performance with us. So welcome back, John.
Yeah, I mean, I've some people said, was that you the other night? And I said, what, on the Fezcast, yeah? But you were almost polite. You were. That's not the John we know after a few beers. I said there are rules that apply to these sort of things. And Jess, the manager, said to me, so I'm being good.
If you listened to last week's show, you'll have heard Duncan having to use the cookie button quite a lot. And so I'll try to keep that one up. I could actually tell you a really funny story about Barry John, but as Duncan's on the production this week, he'll edit it out anyway, so I won't bother.
Celebrations are in order!
If anybody wants to throw me a pint or a donation to my marathon running charity, I'll tell you that story sometime. But yeah, to discuss tonight, and yeah, hi Barry, I haven't heard from you for a little while. You've been out and about and everything, but good to have you back on. But yeah, we're going to discuss Sail Away and around the Premiership. But first off, quick chat about Women's Six Nations. I know, Barry, you haven't seen a great deal of it, but on the face of it, a Grand Slam, job done, isn't it, really?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to go back on something that John Mitchell said at the weekend, they needed that test, and it was great that they found a way to hang on and win that game, and they really did. They will benefit from being challenged. They don't learn anything by winning by 30, 40 points every week. The girls will take an awful lot out of that game, I think.
I'm just going to make a point. I'm going to play a little bit devil's advocate here, John. I don't know whether you agree with me or anything. My biggest concern is that this challenging has been coming. The first half against Ireland wasn't great for England. And now I've almost looked at that and I'm worried that teams that are better, no, I'm not saying France are a poor side by any stretch of imagination. They showed an awful lot of good play, France, and a little bit more accuracy. They might well have caused us a few more problems. But the better teams like Canada and New Zealand have seen a blueprint of how to beat England. At the moment, it's attacking around the ruck, isn't it? Because the defence around the ruck was pretty shoddy, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, it was. And I think, as Barry said, the way that France came back in that second half, it's done England huge amounts of favours. And also it's done the opposition, because if they looked in that first half, they might have thought, well, actually, England are not unbeatable. I know they've won the Six Nations 4 or 5 times, but they're not unbeatable. And it shows, I think it also shows where France are coming as well.
Yeah.
It'll do the ladies a world of good to have that game and think, actually, we need to pick up here, we need to pick up there. And I think it'll do the England's international game no end of good.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's the important thing, isn't it? That you hope that the coaches will look at that. And yeah, John Mitchell's going to put a bit of a silver lining on it. Why wouldn't he? I mean, that's his role as a coach. But behind closed doors, he's going to be analysing that with Lewis Deacon and the rest. And Sarah Hunter, who apparently is back off of maternity leave very soon. It was good to see her in the crowd with her little girl. But they're going to look at that and they're going to say, yeah, these are areas we need to tighten up. A bit of leadership around the back row there and in the ruck was missing against France. And, we discussed it last week. Marley Packer is at the tail end of her career, but her ability to organise and get people in the right place and then lead by example, I thought was missing slightly on the weekend, Barry.
You're always going to miss both the physical gameplay of Marley, but also her leadership skills are second to none. And she leaves some big boots to fill when she's not in the side.
The other issue I've got as well is with the coaching side of things is the Claudia McDonald injury in the start of the second half, where she twists her knee. It looks absolutely horrid on the thing. Why she wasn't dragged off immediately to protect her from potential other injuries, because she's been one bright spark for the England backline. And, the last thing you want is a player of her ability to be injured. But the concern was, without Ellie Kildunn, without Jess Breach, the back three in particular didn't look as sure-footed. Yeah, okay, Abby Dale got a fantastic try again. I mean, she seems to do a worldie every game, doesn't she? But Emma Singh was a little bit... she wasn't the same player as Ellie Kildunn, and you can't expect her to be. Ellie Kildunn's the best player in her position in the world at the moment. But a little bit of concerns there. And for me... does John Mitchell now leave this tournament knowing what his best 15 is? And I'm not entirely certain he does, actually.
I don't think he does. I think this has been a learning curve for him, this tournament. And he didn't want one where we walked all over all the sides. So I think this last game will create a lot more questions than he's had from the first 4 games.
We've got to trust him to get it right, haven't we? And I think he will do. The other side of it as well, though, is Ireland and Scotland both did well in the tournament. Wales, however... it's like the Welsh men's team repeating itself, isn't it? There is something drastically wrong with Welsh rugby, Barry.
Yeah, it looks to be in a mess from all the facets of the game over there, and you do wonder who is going to pick it up and sort things out over there. But it certainly needs sorting out. I mean, you've got Cardiff being owned by the or run by the WRU, or their bills being paid, or whatever exactly the deal is. You've got the men's team that look like a mess and trying to bring back past it Warren Gatland, with all due respect to him, expecting some sort of miracle, and now the women's team as well. It just looks like a complete and utter bloodbath.
We've just watched the second series of the Six Nations thing on Netflix, and a couple of things come out of it. One, why they focus on Marcus Smith, because he just come over as a bit of a knob, to be perfectly honest with you. But the Welsh, why was Duffy Jenkins made captain last year when you got George North in the squad? George North should have been their captain, and it might well have perhaps papered over some cracks, but no, I mean, that's history. But yeah, the Welsh rugby is in a hell of a state, and something's got to happen there drastically, because it's important for the game, not only the men's game, but the women's game, that Wales are strong, isn't it, John?
Yeah, I mean, they brought in a new director of rugby, haven't they? His name doesn't come to mind, but he's worked with Woodward previously, and I think he's worked with the England football team, hasn't he? His name will come to me in a minute, but he's going to be the person who's going to select the new coach for the Welsh men by all accounts. I think he must enjoy a challenge. He really must enjoy a challenge, because it's going to be one. I mean, I've watched the TV series on there, and it was pretty obvious George North felt he could have given a lot more.
Yeah.
And that maybe he wasn't asked to give a lot more.
Yeah, it was remarkable. But, that's old news, as I said. Time for us to put the women's Six Nations to bed now. Say congratulations to England. They did the job. That's the main thing. And good luck to everybody in the World Cup. Wait to see how warm-ups go and what form that's going to take. And obviously, we'll keep our eyes and ears on that one. We'll have a quick break there, and we'll come back then and discuss the main action from Friday night for the game at Sale.
You're listening to the Fezcast.
You are listening to the Fezcast, which is proudly sponsored by the Saracens Supporters Association, and I'm Alison Davis, one of the SSA committee. For a £10 annual subscription, the SSA provides our members with monthly newsletters, virtual and in-person player events, away match ticket allocations, and we organise pre-match gatherings at away matches. We sponsor men's and women's players, and we support the Saracens Foundation Track Club on behalf of our members. On top of all that, every year we have a seasonal SSA badge, which is exclusive to members. Where else can you get that much value for a tenner? Join now at membermojo.co.uk/SSA, or come and see us on match day in the Oasis at the Stonex.
This is the Fezcast.
welcome back to the Fezcast. And yeah, I'm here with John and Barry. Let's hand over to you now because you've compiled the 3-word reviews. And I'm thinking that some of these 3-word reviews might just get my goat a little bit and lead me into a rant, which I'm John, you've never had the experience of being in the same Zoom room, as it were, when I rant, but obviously you've heard a few times on the Fezcast. But
I've heard.
yeah, Barry, go on, hit us with it, and let's see where that leads me to go.
So we'll start with the ones that are specifically about the game. Gareth Baxter at Gar Baxter said slow start again, which I think is completely fair. Josh at Josh Miller 1992, death by box kick. We only kicked 3 times more than Sale in the game, actually, from hand. So the stats don't quite back that one up. Grubber Rucky, who's a frequent contributor at Grubber Rucky, we hate Fridays. I'm not too sure it would have made much of a difference whatever day we were playing on that game. But the one that will lead you nicely in, I think, is Jimbo at Jimbo 94564254. Good grief. I think that's his phone number. He's actually given us several entries. New centres, please. New 9, please. Quick ball, please. Some attack, please. And this is the one you'll love, Jez. New coaches, please.
Well,
Go on.
I have to say, I mean, yeah, there's a bit of sympathy there, and we've discussed it on the Fezcast about coaching and perhaps a reset along the line, somewhere along the lines, but there's no need to throw baby out with the bathwater. Mark McCall is the most successful Premiership director of rugby there has ever been. He's the greatest. He's the GOAT. You know, there's been no better than him. And if you go back through the history of rugby, he's up there with the likes of Jack Rowell when Jack Rowell was leading Bath to championship after championship. He is outstanding as a director of rugby, and he's still a young man. It's not like when Manchester United had Alex Ferguson, they kept him on for 5 too many years and he was taking his pension and whatever, and you know, he was on the danger of a strike. Mark McCall still has a fire and a hunger and a burn and a desire to develop the side, and I think that's what he's doing. I think the problem is that we've got so many fans now. We've got this sense of entitlement that we just turn up and win. And I've seen comments about the fact that, oh, you know, we should be winning this game. This was Sale away, yeah, who are in the top 4 of the Premiership, who have been to finals, who are extremely well coached, who have world-class players like George Ford, who was exceptional on Friday night. They have world-class players from 1 to 15, 1 to 23. These are not the games you go away and expect to win. In the same way as Sale wouldn't come to Saracens and expect to win. Yes, have this argument when we went to Falcons and cocked it up badly and had a bad day at the office. But Sale away, I said it, the best I thought we could hope for, realistically, was 2 points. Score 4 tries and get within 7. And to be fair, other than a bit of accuracy and a bit of luck, and I did feel that most of the 50-50 chances went Sale's way, we could have got that. We didn't. But this is a team at the very genesis of its journey, like it was in 2010 when the long knives came in and Mark McCall took over. And you sit there and you think, what sort of player wants to come to a club where the slightest mistake he makes is jumped on? And I've seen people calling out Fergus Burke. And yeah, okay, contractual mention now. He's not Owen Farrell, but he'll never be whatever he's going to be if every time he makes a slight mistake while he's still learning to be part of this team, a certain section of the team get in the round of the kitchen sink. We wear a black shirt.
Yeah.
They wear a black shirt. We're one team together, and let's, for Christ's sake, get behind him and show some understanding, particularly if you're sat there behind a keyboard and never have had the ability to play at their level.
Exactly, Jess. I mean, I completely agree with everything you're saying. I do wonder, and I was talking to somebody last weekend about this, is that we've picked up Saracens have been a very successful side over the last 10 years. Absolutely. We've won just about everything there is to win. And we've picked up a lot of fans in that. We've been Saracens fans from before the success. So we know that you have to develop a team. And sooner or later, that team you've developed gets old, retires, and you start again. But true rugby fans, I think, know that. What was Owen Farrell like? I can't remember. It's too far back for me. But when he first joined us, when he first started playing, he was a young player, okay, and developed. We had the Vinopolas, they developed. And eventually they get there. To start shooting people down after we've changed a bunch of the players over the last year, and we've got new players coming, some will work. I like Fergus Burke. I think he's got a lot of potential there, and I think give it another 2 or 3 years, and he'll be up there. He'll be good. But we have to give them the support. We can't say, when you go away to Sale, as an example, a really strong defensive side, oh, we didn't win there, we should have beat them easily. Why? They're a good side.
I can understand it as a knee-jerk reaction, Barry, to a result that people are going to be upset or whatever. But Saracen season did not fall apart on this game. Saracen season was Falcons, Quins. Those are the games, particularly the Quins game, which are going to stick in the craw, and everybody's going to remember it. But the thing is, as I've always said, the lads know that. Mark McCall knows that. Joe Shaw knows that. Rob Webber knows that. Everybody knows that. And they don't go out there on the field to play crap rugby. They go out to play good rugby. But sometimes you just got to admit, Barry, that you come up against a better side. And I don't think there's a single side in the Premiership, or potentially even in the Champions Cup, that at Sale could have coped with that first 20 minutes that Sale put out there. And the fact that Saracens were as close to them as they were gives us an awful lot of credit.
We had a very, very dodgy start on Friday. Sale away is a game that we've never, ever done particularly well in, as far as I'm concerned. We've always been under the cosh up there. We nicked the odd win here and there, but generally speaking, when we go up there, we're just looking for bonus points. And you're right, I don't think anyone would have lived with them for the first 20 minutes. Sale couldn't live with themselves for the first 20 minutes. That's why they fell off a little bit, I think, after that. But the scoreline doesn't reflect the game. I didn't think we were ever likely to win, but I thought we did give a good account of ourselves. And just for a couple of, if we got a try early in that second half, I think it might have been, we might well have got a lot closer. But it is a shame. I mean, I understand people pay their money; they're entitled to comment. But yeah, some of it is a little bit OTT. Whoever we got in at 10 was never going to be able to follow Owen, particularly not a young kid who's come halfway around the world, leaving his family and all his friends behind, and landed in a cold and fairly wet and miserable St Albans this year, and has struggled with injury as well. So we've got to give Fergus more time. The coaches and the recruitment team, I'm sure they know what they're doing, and they'll stick with Fergus. There's a little bit more we could do with a couple of centres, to be honest. We could do with an inside centre at least, for my money. But I think the coaches will get it right. That they will know what's wrong, and we just have to trust in them to be able to put it right.
Now, the important thing, John, is the facts of the league. And I did some rough back of the quiz paper calculations last week, and I was thinking with 2 points from this game, we could have got a 61 point and potentially could have scraped fourth place, given what the other games are out there. Best we could do now is 59 points, and I don't think 59 points is going to be enough to get us in the playoffs. Or if it is enough, we're hoping on other results that probably you would predict go one way, go another way. And you're looking at teams like Quins suddenly deciding they're not on the beach and pulling games out. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. So this could in a way be, I'm going to look for a silver lining here. We've just got to go out the last 3 games of the season now, starting with Falcons at home on the 10th of May, and just enjoy our rugby and give the lads the opportunity, and maybe potentially give lads who haven't had a big opportunity more of an opportunity to come in. And I think there's more than enough from the players out there that have seen, the young players. Angus Hall again had a great game on the weekend. I thought he was really, really good. Rotimi Shegan, I mean, he's not a young lad anymore. He's a more senior player. But every time he plays, he plays 8 out of 10 every time we see him. We'll talk about Tom Willis in a minute. But, I mean, there's plenty going on there that I think is good to see.
I think there is this. I mean, yeah, we have got defensive vulnerabilities. Everybody can see that. But at the other side, where we go, I was fortunate to go to Toulon and saw the young lads step up to the mark. And okay, in the last 20, they got well and truly beaten by a very good side. But they went for it and they showed the skills. They showed the attacking intent that they have. So I don't think we should we shouldn't be berating them all the time because, as you said, we've got a lot of young lads coming through. Rotty's there. Okay, he's one of our older ones now. But when you look at Flood, who's coming through, and no, I just think we need to take a step back and say at the end of the season, did we really think we were going to get in the playoffs? From my perspective, it was always a bonus if we got into playoffs this year. It really, really was. And I think so we can say, we've identified key areas where we need to improve things. But overall, I think as a squad, they did okay. Now people may shoot me down for that, but that's my humble opinion.
Teams go through cycles. No team can be at the top for 20 years. It's virtually impossible. There is a point when you have a golden generation of players who give you so much, but they do get to be retiring or falling off the cliff at the same time. We've seen it with New Zealand when they fell off the cliff against England in 2019. And we're doing that. But I think what's happened in the past is you've seen sometimes those teams have fallen off that cliff, and they've fallen a long way. And you only have to look at Exeter at the moment to see how far they've fallen off that cliff with no perception of how they're going to get back. Saracens have had players leave and, we've fallen off a cliff. We've got a more ageing core, as it were. But we haven't fallen that far. If you were sat here now with 3 games to go and say we've still got a chance at playoffs, that's not such a bad thing. It's not that far off where we were last season with the likes of Billy Vunipola and Maka Vunipola and Owen Farrell and whatever and Sean Maitland playing. We're not actually that far off. So, yes, we're going to take some pain this season, maybe next season, who knows? But sticking with these guys and supporting them, we're going to see this group grow together, I think, and challenge a lot quicker than other teams have managed to do it. And I think that's the beauty of having Mark McCall at the helm, because he knows how to get that team up there, Barry.
I've always felt this is a 2-year transition period because obviously we lost a fair old boatload of players at the end of last season. We're going to lose more over the next year or so with the likes of Goody going. There's still work to be done on reinforcing the squad. But yeah, you're right. It's such a tight Premiership that we haven't fallen that far, but you did touch on this slightly earlier, and I'm going to just bring it up and put it into focus. The frustrating thing about this season is that the bottom 3 sides are Harlequins, Exeter and Newcastle, and so far we've played them 5 times between the 3 of them, and we've only won 1 game.
So that makes it imperative that we give Folkers a proper stuffing out of Stone Exeter in a couple of weeks' time, which I think we will do if you've got Tom Willis on the pitch. He was close to man of the match on Friday night in a losing team. His stats were insane. I got him here. It's 18 carries, 5 tackles, 121 metres made. He made more metres in 60 minutes than Aaron Reid made in the entire game. And Aaron Reid did a virtually 100-metre individual try with a few jinks in it. And he beat 10 defenders. And I mean, that doesn't tell half the story because he beat Gus Warup 4 times in 1 run. Outstanding, immense. I mean, I could give up player number 8 now. The future's here.
You wish.
It is a little bit bizarre that the player of the match has to go to a member of the winning side when clearly Tom Willis was. You could make a case for a few others on the Sale side as well, but I thought Tom Willis was the best player. Across the 80 minutes, he was the best player on the pitch for either side. And to give it to Aaron Reid because of his 95-metre run back, great try as it was, just seemed bizarre to me.
What was wrong with George Ford?
Yeah.
I thought he played very well.
Fordy had a great game, and when people are talking about, and I'm sure when it comes out the British Lions, which is being announced, we're recording Monday, I think it's being announced tomorrow, the whole world's going to be up in arms because Marcus Smith isn't going to be in the British Lions squad. But George Ford's on current form could easily get a nod in that British Lions squad, quite easily. And certainly will be, if Finn Smith goes to British Lions, will be the 10 for England in Argentina, without a shadow of a doubt. He was great. I want to have a quick word about tight head prop because that's going to be a huge issue now. I mean, Alec Clary was clutching his ribs in the game. Harvey Beaton came on and just sunk without trace. So I feel sorry for him because, he's come from playing the majority of the season in the Championship with Amshill, and Amshill, he obviously does a great job. But the golfing class is immense and he just couldn't cope with it, could he, John?
He couldn't at all. I think he tried, he desperately tried his best, and you could see the effort on his face. But it's just not there when you come up against players that are considerably better than him. But that's a weak area for us in the club, isn't it?
Yeah, Marco's out injured, and it's going to be a struggle. And that's where we've got to keep the ball away from the scrum. So that means keeping hold of the bloody thing and not dropping it, which is easier said than done. We'll say Murrow had a bit of a petulant 20 minutes. I thought the block on Tom Curry wasn't very clever, but he did work it out and drag it back. I will say on Tom Curry and Luke Cowan-Dickey, they were lucky to stay on the field. I thought Christoph Ridley had a really good game as referee. He let the game flow, but in letting the game flow, he let a few things go. Luke Cowan-Dickey's going to hurt someone or himself badly one of these days with these shoulder tackles on people's ankles, and it needs to be legislated against. And Tom Curry, that was head-on-head hit. I mean, Joey George had to go off for a HIA. It should have been a yellow card, that at least. But there you go. I suppose the thing to say as we end the show this week is it could be worse, because we could be Exeter Chiefs and having Toady Rowe come into our changing room and go. I can promise you now, if I was Rob Baxter, there is no way that I would have taken the Brian Clough view of chairman and everything. He would have been told exactly where to foxtrot Oscar and to not darken the changing room door. Chairmen of the clubs, I don't care how much money you put in it, do not have the right to go in and tell professional rugby players how to play the game, particularly if you've never played a game like Tony Rowe has never played at any level.
And they played badly. I have to say they looked like they gave up.
Yeah,
with the number of missed tackles and the lack of commitment. And okay, that's Baxter's role. Baxter tears strips off them, not bleep, 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 Tony Rowe.
No.
But his view is, I own the club, and therefore I own you. And that's my humble opinion.
Well, someone should have pointed out to him and said, if you actually properly invested in it and you could afford to be a Premiership rugby club owner, then we wouldn't be in this position in the first place. But I mean, that's just my personal view of Tony Rowe, Barry.
He's not high on your Christmas card list, then, I gather.
No, he's not up there. I mean, there's a few people in the world that I reserve the right to not want to be in their company. And Tony Rowe, after I met him once when Saracens women played at Worcester in the final against Exeter, he's less than. Speaking of women, just to say, next week our show is going to be a shortened show because there's not a great deal of rugby on. But Matt and Alex have interviewed Leanne Infante, which has been something that's been on the burner for quite some time. So that's something to look forward to next week. All I have to say is, John, Barry, thank you for your time and thank you everybody for listening in. I will see you next week for another edition of the Fezcast.
This is the Fezcast.